Hello everyone, welcome to Missing Piece. I'm Dr. P. Mulan the movie finally came out on September 4th and is now streaming on Disney+. After watching this movie, I was amazed by the pictures and scenes from the movie. Liu Yifei and Gong Li are my favorite Chinese actresses. They're just perfect. But after watching this movie, I also had a lot of questions. Is Mulan really the person depicted by the cartoon in this movie? In this video, I'll give you a more complete story on the history and mystery around Mulan beyond what Disney has told you in the cartoon and as well as this movie. Does Mulan ever exist? Is it realistic for her to hide her female identity among male soldiers? Can a girl fight against the fearsome enemies in ancient times? After watching my video, you're welcome to make your own judgments on whether Mulan, the movie, depicted a real female warrior from ancient Chinese history. Although this video is not a movie review, I would like to highlight one point from the movie. So, spoiler alert! Or I'm not even sure if I can really spoil the movie because Mulan, the story has been passed down in China for thousands of years, and Mulan, the Disney cartoon, came out in 1998. We are already very familiar with the storyline. The story is about a girl who disguises herself as a man to fight against northern invasion instead of her father because of his weakening health conditions. After a battle with Bori Khan, the invader from the north, Mulan saved her fellow soldiers but also revealed her identity as a girl. She eventually won the respect and support from her fellow soldier and saved the emperor from Bori Khan. There are several elements and characters that were added in this movie compared with the cartoon that came out in 1998. The one I'm talking about here is Qi. So in this movie, Mulan and her family has this talent called Qi inside their bodies. If they use Qi well, they will be able to yield and redirect forces from their enemies and utilize the same forces to fight back against their enemies. In this way, 4 ounces can move 1,000 pounds, meaning that Mulan does not need to have the same forces to fight against their enemies if she uses Qi. Qi is like a superpower or magic that Mulan has, which help her to be recognized by her commander, save her from enemy attacks, and eventually save the emperor from Bori Khan. I think Qi, this element, underplayed the importance of the effort and hard work Mulan had to put in to train herself to be comparable or even better than her male counterparts. Qi also makes it harder for normal people like us to make a connection with Mulan because none of us, or at least I, have superpower. Well, I wish I had the superpower to attract you to the like and subscription buttons. Anyways, I think this is how Disney depict their princesses. So Disney princesses usually achieve what they desire with the help from magical forces, like the 7 dwarf or fairy godmothers. This is nothing too special, just not the normal help we can get. Anyways, I don't want to spoil too much of the movie. I'm here to talk about Mulan in real life. Did Mulan the woman warrior ever exist? The story of Mulan first appeared in a ballad in the Northern Wei dynasty of China, which is 386 to 534 AD. The ballad is surprisingly short and emphasizes on Mulan's feeling of longing for her family, spending virtually no time describing her military exploits and includes no reference of any possible romantic attachments over her 10 years of service. I'm going to walk you through the ballad, which is the first records of the story of Mulan. The ballad starts with this: 唧唧复唧唧，木兰当户织，不闻机杼声，惟闻女叹息. So the first 4 sentences means click click click. Mulan sat at home weaving, but the loom's resonant sounds could not be heard over the girl's sighs. Why is she sighing? Then the ballad goes: 问女何所思？问女何所忆？女亦无所思，女亦无所忆. These 4 sentences means ask what thoughts and memories led to this. She said, I was not thinking or recollecting about anything. 昨夜见军帖，可汗大点兵，军书12卷，卷卷有爷名. But last night I saw the call to arms. The Khan was calling for soldiers. There were 12 scrolls of names, and each includes my father's name. So every scroll of names has Mulan's father's name, which shows that Mulan's father is not just a nobody. In the Northern Wei dynasty of China, military nobilities must report to the army when needed. Otherwise, their political and economical privilege would be deprived. Mulan's father, or Hua Zhou in the movie, was very likely a war hero who has received title and land from the Northern Wei government. When the emperor is summoning him or his son to protect the nation against invasion, Mulan's family must select a man to join the army. Otherwise, they will lose their land and title. Now back to the ballad. 阿爷无大儿，木兰无长兄，愿为施鞍马，从此替爷征。So here Mulan says, but my father has no son, and I have no big brother. I want to go to buy a saddle and horse and serve in father's place. 东市买骏马，西市买鞍鞯，南市买辔头，北市买长鞭。So in the East Market, Mulan bought a steed, and in the West Market, a saddle. In the South Market, she bought a bridle, and in the North Market, she bought a whip. This also shows that Mulan's family is at least a decent family that can afford a horse and harness. 朝辞爷娘去，暮宿黄河边。不闻爷娘唤女声，但闻黄河流水鸣溅溅。So in the morning, she took leave from her parents and went to camp beside the Yellow River. She no longer hears the parents calling to her. By evening, she hears only splashing of the river. 但辞黄河去，暮至黑山头。不闻爷娘唤女声，但闻燕山胡骑鸣啾啾。The following morning, she left the Yellow River, and by sunset, she has reached Black Mountain. She no longer hears her parents calling to her. By evening, she heard only the neighing of the horses of the barbarians at Mount Yan. So here, the author of the ballads calls the nomadics and invaders from the north barbarians. Who are these people exactly? I'll talk about it in a little bit. Now let's go back to the ballads. 万里赴戎机，关山度若飞。朔气传金柝，寒光照铁衣。She traveled 10,000 miles to do battle, and traversed mountains passes as through flying. The night air moved the watchman's rattle, the cold light glint on warriors' armors. 将军百战死，壮士10年归，归来见天子，天子坐明堂。Fellow soldiers died in the countless battles. In 10 years, she returned as a great warrior. On returning, she saw the emperor, seated in his bright palace. 策勋12传，赏赐百千强。可汗问所欲，木兰不用尚书郎。愿借明陀千里足，送儿还故乡。The emperor praised her extensively and gave her extravagant gifts. The Khan asked what she wanted. She replied, I have no use for honors or servants. I will only borrow a swift camel to take me back home. 爷娘闻女来，出郭相扶将。阿姊闻妹来，当户领红妆。When her parents heard that their daughter had returned, they went out to the village gate and welcomed her back. When her eldest sister heard that she had returned, she stayed inside and dressed herself up. 小弟闻姊来，磨刀霍霍向出阳。开我东阁门，奏我西阁床。When her little brother heard that his sister has returned, he sharpened a knife to slaughter a pig and goats for the feast. She opened the door on the east side of her room and sat on her bed on the west side. So Mulan had a little brother. It's not like what is depicted in the Disney cartoon or movie that Hua Zhou only had 2 daughters. Maybe Mulan's brother was too young back then to even join the military, so Mulan still had to go in the place of a man in her family. 脱我战时袍，着我旧时裳，当妆理红鬓，对镜贴花黄。She removed her war clothing and put on the dress she had worn before. Looking out her window, she tied up her hair, and looking in the mirror, she placed a yellow flower in her hair. 出门看伙伴，伙伴皆金黄。同行12年，不知木兰是女郎。She went out to meet her fellow soldiers. The soldiers were all astonished. Being comrades for 12 years, they didn't know Mulan was a woman. So this is different from Disney. Mulan was able to hide her female identity for the entire duration of her service in the military. While in the movie, Mulan revealed that she's a girl voluntarily. Although inconsistent with the ballads, I also like the setting in the Mulan movie because Mulan was able to face her true identity and have the courage to tell the truth. 雄兔脚扑朔，雌兔眼迷离。双兔傍地走，安能辨我是雄雌？ Mulan said, the male rabbit normally hops and runs, while the female sits and stares, but both flee fast when danger threatens. How can one tell whether they're male or female then? How can you tell a warrior that protected the nation male or female? The interchangeability of men and women in the time of emergency implicates that both sexes are equally competent, which is the major idea that Mulan's story is trying to convey. Women are no less than men. Gender equality is definitely an unprecedented concept 1,000 years ago in China. Even until today, it's still something that people are fighting for around the globe. Mulan, with her tremendous effort and hard work, not cheap, trained herself into a brave and strong warrior that was able to protect her nation in the same or even better way than her male comrades. She fought for respect and recognition with her sweat and tears. Therefore, I think introducing the superpower Qi weakens the storylines of Mulan. Mulan was written into the story, but did Mulan really exist? Or was she only an imagined character to convey the virtues such as loyalty, bravery, truth, and devotion to family? While the name Hua Mulan is difficult to find in official documentations, Mulan could be based on a real female warrior, Xun Guan, who was born in 303 AD in Jin Dynasty, which is very close in terms of time to the Northern Wei Dynasty that Mulan's story was written. Xun Guan was the daughter of the general Xin Song of the Jin Dynasty. In 315 AD, an anti-Jin force attacked the city Guan and her father was guarding. After several days of battle, the city was running low on food and water supplies, and Xin Song wanted to send someone to a nearby city to ask for help. Guan, who was only 12-year-old back then, volunteered and managed to lead a squad of dozen to break through the anti-Jin army surrounding the city. With the help from a nearby city, Guan was able to save her city from the enemies. So the story of Xun Guan was documented in history and proves that women can also fight for their family and nation like men. Guan's story is definitely not the only example of women serving in the army in ancient history. In China's Song Dynasty, which is 960 to 1279 AD, female warriors from the Yang family defeated invasions from the Liao Dynasty, which was also formed by nomadic people from the north, similar to Borican. Jeanne of Arc was the heroine of France for her role during the Lancastrian phase of the 100 Years' War. Women are no less than men. So Mulan could have existed, but was it realistic for her to hide her female identity for 12 years from her comrades? It is possible. First of all, Mulan's ballads was written in the Northern Wei Dynasty, which is a dynasty formed by northern nomadic people called Xianbei. The ancestor of Xianbeis also lived their lives on horseback and are no weaker than the invaders that Mulan was fighting against. As a daughter from a decent war hero family of this dynasty, it would not be surprising for Mulan to learn horse riding and archery from a young age. Her stamina and strength may be comparable to men from her dynasty. Therefore, when she disguised herself as a man warrior, she might not have been easily spotted. Secondly, wars are harsh. Mulan had to travel for great distances and combat with invaders. The harsh living conditions might have caused some physical changes due to hormone changes, such as amenorrhea, which means she might not be experiencing normal menstruations. Her female features could be diminishing due to the change in hormone level. Her bones could be stronger and her muscle could be built up, making Mulan look more like a man than woman. We can also see the physical change in female athletes and soldiers nowadays. Joan of Arc also experienced amenorrhea, which once brought confusions to the British about her female identity. Moreover, Mulan is a cavalry. Unlike the infantry, who rest together in the same tent, cavalry stay next to their horses. They rest while leaning on the horse, which significantly reduced the chance of physical interactions between Mulan and her man comrades. You may then ask, Mulan didn't even go to the bathroom or take a shower? Wouldn't her female identity be easily exposed? From what I know, nomadic people back then rarely take showers. It was not only due to the lack of water in the northern part of China, but also due to their beliefs in using body smells to scare animals away, which might be coming from their respect to beasts. Going to the bathroom in the army was quite simple. For the smaller ones, soldiers didn't even need to jump off their horse. Additionally, the outfits for cavalry are quite complicated. It would waste too much time for soldiers to take off their outfits for urination. This might be a little disgusting, but it's very likely that the soldiers just urinate in their armors. For the bigger ones, they would just find some tall grass and hide inside and just do that business. Simple enough. So now it still seems like Mulan could be able to hide her female identity for 12 years. Who were the enemies that Mulan was really fighting for? Bori Khan? So from the ballads, Mulan went to the Black Mountain, which is located in the Inner Mongolian area of modern China. If this was the battlefield for Mulan, then the enemies most likely resided in the Hebei and Inner Mongolian area. While the Northern Wei dynasty was one of the most chaotic periods of time in China's history, it also had a lot of enemies from the north, including the Rouran people depicted in the movie. So, good job, Disney, for doing your homework. Rouran claimed the area north from the Great Wall of China and was the strongest enemy of the Northern Wei dynasty. Both dynasties were founded around the same time. The Northern Wei trying to stretch their territory by taking down Rouran, and Rouran also trying to loot resources from the Northern Wei because life in the Mongolian area was harsh. It is highly possible that Mulan was fighting against the Rouran, as they were the most fearsome enemies of the Northern Wei dynasty. Now that I've given you a more complete story about Mulan, have you gotten a better idea about Mulan, the female warrior? Because I tried not to spoil the movie, I didn't talk about the historical and logical flaws in the movie. If you have watched the movie, please comment below. I would love to discuss with you about the mistakes that I think Disney made and compare with what you have found. After all, Mulan is a Disney movie, it's not a Chinese documentary. It is meant for families with small kids. Adding a superpower to the main character may be a good way to attract young children. But I'm just disappointed at how Disney downplays the efforts of an individual to fight for the virtue and values she held just by gifting her a superpower. However, Disney was able to convey one message clearly: women are no less than men. This is the end of our story about Mulan today. Next time we'll be talking about a Russian serial killer who took more than 80 lives away. So stay tuned and subscribe to our channels for weekly mystery stories. See you soon!